Hey guys, welcome to our first installment of learning how to play bar chords. Bar chords have been around for a long time, and there's lots of different reasons why we want to learn bar chords. One of the biggest ones is if you've ever played with a capo for a long time and you've enjoyed it, but you want to have a little bit more freedom than having to rely on a piece of hardware, if you will, to create your different keys and being able to modulate your chords into different keys. And capos are a wonderful thing, and they work great, but sometimes you just want to be able to grab that chord without having to strap one of these guys on. And I think that's maybe one of the big reasons why people want to make that move from using capos to using bar chords. But certainly capos are a great tool, and I highly recommend them. Get a good one though. A lot of times what it'll also do by learning bar chords is you can explore the fretboard a little bit more. What I mean by that is, like you're not restricted to just open chord shapes, or even just the same shapes but with a capo on. You can go ahead and try a chord here, but then you can turn around and, well, what does it sound like up there? You can explore the fretboard a little bit more. You've got that freedom, so it helps to inspire you a little bit more through the process of exploring in different areas of the neck. Sometimes a chord just feels right played up high, and there's different reasons for that. Bar chords are also really useful when it comes time to changing keys. So if you've just got a very simple, like simple 1-4-5 progression in the key of G, all of a sudden, the guy says, oh, okay, well, let's move it up, let's modulate it up a whole step. Well, it's really easy with bar chords. You've got that freedom because you're using a barred shape. You can move it around the neck, and changing keys is quite easy when it comes to, or when you're using bar chords. Key changes are basically a very easy thing to do. And those are some very good reasons why you would want to learn bar chords. The nice thing about bar chords too is if you've learned one shape and you're comfortable with it, well, other shapes are very, very similar to masters. So if you've done one shape and you've got it down, learning the next shape isn't very difficult at all. So there's some nice consistency in the fingering of bar chords, E and A forms very specifically. So those are kind of the reasons why we want to learn bar chords. I'm sure there's hundreds of others, but those are some basic ones that we want to address. So let's figure out what makes a bar chord. Basically, when we're talking about bar chords, we're talking about two parts. The first part is the root, and then the second part of it is the type. Now the root, as far as bar chords go, really what it means is the location on the neck. Okay, it basically, we need a starting point to build our shape from, and that's where the root really comes in handy. So by putting my finger on the 5th fret, what I'm doing is I'm rooting here, and I'm building my chord shape from the root to make a major chord. Okay, if I move my root down 2 frets, I've still got this major chord, but now I've gone from an A to a G, and we're going to talk about root locations very soon. Okay, so the root is really, there's bigger explanations, but as far as bar chords are concerned, the root is really the location. Where on the fretboard are we going to build this chord? The other part is the type, and the type is really the voicings, or the fingerings, if you will. That's or even just in more simpler context, the shape. Okay, so that G that I was talking about, G major, my root right here is G, but my type is major. I have a major fingering that goes against that root, so I have a G major. Now if I want to keep that root and change the fingering, well, then I change the type of it. So now I go from a G major to a G minor. You can hear the difference there. Okay, so I'm changing not the root, but I'm changing the type, changing the fingering of it. Now you can change roots without changing types. You can change roots while changing types as well. And you mix them around, and that's how you come up with some interesting progressions using bar chords. So if you can understand those two basic things, then putting bar chords together really shouldn't be too hard. The next thing that we want to learn then is, actually the first thing we want to do is we want to break down those two pieces, the root and the type. So the very first thing we want to do is learn the roots. Okay, root locations. The root note is basically the starting point of any chord. It's the note to which we stack all the other notes to build our chord shapes. We also use our roots to create arpeggios and also to create scales. So knowing the location of these root notes is key to successfully building your bar chords. So what I've done is I've divided root locations into two areas using just the sixth string and the fifth string as our guide. Okay, if you see the example that I have up on the screen, this first area covers from the first fret up to the fifth fret. Okay, so let's walk through these root notes starting from the first fret on the sixth string. We're going to go all the way up to the fifth fret. Then we're going to go to the second fret on the fifth string, or the A string, and we're going to take it up to the fifth fret as well. So if you notice in the diagram, we're actually not starting on A, we're starting on F. Okay, so I've had lots of students they've really struggled with trying to remember what that first note is. But if you think about the word first, what does it start with? F. What does the word fret start with? F. So if you think F for first fret, use that alliteration, that constant F letter, and you should be able to remember it. So F for first fret. So first fret is always, unless you're detuning, is always F. So let's walk up all the root notes that we have on this diagram. So we've got F, 2 frets up from F is G. Now I'm using the same finger, but you can use different fingers. It's really not important. Okay, we just want to try to memorize this root location shape. 2 frets up from G is A. All right, now we go over to the fifth string, the next string here, or our A string. Second fret is B. And then just move up 1 fret to C. And then from there, 2 frets up from there is D. Okay, so let's go through them again. So we have F, and then we have G. 2 frets up from G is A. Make sure you shout these out too, okay? A lot of times if you only play it, it's hard to remember, but if you speak it and play it at the same time, it helps to kind of gel it into your brain here. Okay, so we'll go over to the next string now. B is on the second fret, C on the third fret, D on the fifth fret. Okay, so one more time. Here we go. F, then G, then A, next string over is B, 1 fret up to C, and 2 frets up to D. Okay, so that covers all the root notes in this area on these 2 strings. Alright, now you're probably wondering where E is. Well, E doesn't exist in this shape, but we do cover E in the next shape that we'll look at. Alright, so let's take a look at the figure number 2 that I've got on the screen here. If you look, I've got a little 4x4 grid using the root notes that are available in this shape. Okay, so if you look at the top, all I did was I just went up the alphabet starting with F for first fret, and I just went F, G, A, B, and then in the next row C, D, F, G, and then I just kept going A, B, C, D, and then F, G, A, B. So what we want to do here is we can take this grid and play it in different ways. So logically, if you wanted to start top left to bottom right, you can do that. But the whole idea here is to try it in different directions, because we don't really want to memorize this grid and play it like a song or like a pattern. We want to be able to kind of randomize this grid and play it in different ways, so that we're not constantly memorizing the grid, but we're recalling where the root notes are. So rather than playing it in rows, let's take a moment and look at it in columns. So if we look at the first column, so we're going from the top left corner down, we've got F, and then C, then A, and then F again. So what we're going to do here is we're going to play each root note for a count of 4. Then we're going to break for a count of 4. During that break, we're going to get ready for that next root. Okay? So let's give this a try. So we're going to start up on F, up in that top corner of our grid that we've got here. So let's go. So F, 2, 3, 4, then ready on C, 2, 3, and play C. So 1, 2, now we're thinking about that A coming up. A, 2, 3, 4, and then play 2, 3, 4, rest, get ready for F, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That was pretty easy. Okay, so let's go to the second column now. So in the second column we've got G, D, B, and G again. So let's give that a try. Okay, here we go. So ready on G. Let's play that root note. We're going to play it for a count of 4, let it ring out for a count of 4, and then we're going to rest for a count of 4. Again, during that rest, we're going to grab that next root. But here's the thing as well. As we're playing that G, don't wait for the break to start thinking about that D. If you've got that G and you know it's good, boom, start thinking about that D, okay? So here we go. So ready on G. G, 2, 3, 4, ready for D, 2, 3, 4. Now B's coming up, 3, 4, ready, 2, 3, 4. Now G's coming up again, 3, 4, ready, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, ready, 2, 3, 4. Good. All right, so there's another example doing it in columns. So you can follow along playing columns for this grid. Another thing that you can do is, why not try skipping notes? So let's say I do the first and third note of each column. So in that case, in column 1, I would be playing F and then A, and then in column 3, I would be playing A and C. Let's give that a try. So we're going to start with F, 2, thinking about that A, 4, ready, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, A is coming up again, 3, 4, then C is coming up, 3, 4, ready, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, ready, 2, 3, 4. Good. Okay, so another thing that we could do is we could go from the top left corner to the bottom right corner. So we've got, if we do that, we've got F, D, and then C, and then B. So sure, let's give that a try. Here we go. So ready on F, 2, 3, 4, go. 1, 2, D coming up, 4, ready, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, C is coming up, ready, 2, 3, 4, 2, B is coming up, 4, ready, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, ready, 2, 3, 4. Good. All right, so that's how that's done. So I did a 4x4 grid. If you wanted to do a 5x5 grid, it really doesn't matter, but just make sure that you're using the notes that are in this pattern. So only F, G, A, and then B, C, and D. Okay, so in our next section, we're going to talk about sharps or flats.